Welcome back to our olive tree, where during the time of the coronavirus pandemic, we are exploring together a way of praying that I love, Ignatian Spirituality. Last week we met the spiritual guide Rev'd Hughes, and we pondered the idea that sitting in nature might be thought of as prayer. This week we're going to hear a little of the story of the founder of the Jesuits, Saint Ignatius of Loyola. One of the most important questions of the spiritual life is the question that Jesus asks blind Bartimaeus in chapter 10 of Mark's Gospel. What do you want me to do for you? What do you want might seem a strange question with which to spend time, a question that we might worry is selfish or unholy. But Jesus asks this question, and in doing so he gives the blind man before him the integrity to look into his own heart and find his heart's desire. That desire, we might believe, is given to us by God and is well worth pondering. It was in reflection on just such a question that the soldier Inigo of Loyola came to the insights that led him to write about the way of praying known as the spiritual exercises. Inigo had been injured in a battle, hit in the leg by a cannonball in fact, and he found himself recuperating in a castle in Loyola with an awful lot of time on his hands. He asked for books to read, and the only books that the castle offered up were a book about Christ and a collection of the lives of some of the saints. Inigo found himself spending hours in daydreams, times when he let his imagination wander, that seemed to fall into two different types. One daydream was about Inigo performing great deeds and winning the love of a beautiful and great lady. The other daydream involved him outdoing the saints about whom he was reading in living an austere life. Rev'd Hughes takes up St. Ignatius's story. For weeks Inigo alternated between two types of daydream, until suddenly he noticed something which was to change not only his life, but millions of other people's lives as well. While both kinds of daydream were enjoyable at the time, Inigo discovered that after he dreamed of his great deeds and of the lady whose love he would win, he felt bored, empty, and sad. But after dreaming of outdoing the saints, he felt happy, hopeful, and encouraged. He reflected on this difference, and so he learned the first lesson in what later he was to call discernment of spirits, which we might term distinguishing between our creative and our destructive inner moods and feelings. Saint Ignatius, trapped in the castle during his convalescence, was really asking himself the Jesus question, what do you want? There he found that God was guiding him as to his heart's desire through his feelings. Might we spend time with this question? Imagine Jesus asking us, what do you want me to do for you? Especially during this time of social isolation. And might we too reflect on the feelings that seem to accompany our daydreams? And might we be surprised that just such a time of reflection is a prayer guided by God. Next week, beside this olive tree, we will witness our third spiritual director, James Martin, on retreat, where he finds himself exploring who it is he wants God to be for him.